The Asus Zenbook S14 has always been the company's super portable, high-end, do-it-all, everyday notebook, and for 2026 that overall formula stays pretty much the same, with just minor tweaks to the chassis and feature set and an updated CPU platform. And while most of the updates are of a welcome nature, especially the new silicon is a bit of a head-scratcher, since this one's predecessor, which was betting on Lunar Lake, was actually faster, at least on the GPU side. I mean, sure, you could argue that a laptop of this class will hardly be used for gaming or heavier content creation, but it still feels like a one step forward, two steps back kind of situation. But how about we get into it and see if the S14 is still the excellent all-purpose laptop it ever was, or if you are better off with competing notebooks. Within the premium all-metal chassis, our config of the 14-incher bets on the Intel Core Ultra 9 386H, a 16-core hybrid chip alongside 32 gigs of soldered but very speedy RAM and a 1TB SSD in the single available SSD slot. In the display department you can still feast your eyes on a 120Hz 2.8K OLED, but Asus dramatically increased the brightness, which now tops out just shy of 500 nits in SDR and slightly above 1000 nits for peak HDR content. Add in the typical excellent contrast and color gamut coverage and you won't find a lot to complain about, and the Zenbook offers a very satisfying and flexible display experience for all sorts of content creation and content consumption shenanigans. Externally, the S14 gets a slightly cleaner design for its aluminum display lid, and together with the light silver color, the Zenbook looks and feels incredibly premium, with a sturdy base unit, well-adjusted hinges and a pretty flexible port arrangement despite its slim profile and compact chassis. The keyboard offers enough travel and tactile feedback to make for a satisfying typing experience, and the touchpad did its job without any problems, and it feels the part with a slightly subdued and premium feeling click. Add in a pretty decent webcam and some very impressive wireless transfer speeds with our Wi-Fi 7 routers, and the Zenbook is doing a very good job to be a laptop that you can easily take everywhere and do almost anything with. But we still have to talk about performance, and that is where things do get a bit tricky. I mean, sure, the 16-core CPU is running circles around its Lunar Lake predecessor and can slightly outperform Apple's M5 in the MacBook Air. But something like the Snapdragon X2 Elite in the Zenbook A14 is pretty far out of reach, and the Panther Core Ultra 9 needs quite a bit of wattage to stay this competitive, which has other problems, as we will see in the fan noise department in a little bit. System performance is excellent though, and again, for everything mainstream you will do with the Zenbook, you will get a very snappy overall experience. It's just once we start to deal with anything GPU accelerated that things don't look too rosy for the S14 anymore. And sure, an X-series Panther CPU would have probably increased the price dramatically, but still, if you're looking for more GPU grunt, there are better options out there, and even a last-gen S14 would be a great option if you can still find one. As per usual, if you are after a more detailed performance breakdown and all of our individual benchmark results, please check out our written review on the website. I mentioned it before, but the high core count CPU is really pushing the cooling system of the slim notebook. And if you opt for the higher end power modes, you will hear the fans, even with lighter workloads. So we would recommend the whisper mode, since it's still more than fast enough for pretty much everything and lets you a very silent computing experience. But please hear for yourself, and I also included an audio sample for the speakers, which are pretty good. So again, if this is your on-the-go Netflix or YouTube machine, you will not be disappointed.
Everything I do, pack a punch, back it up, stack it up to the sky now, rack it up, planet of the brakes won't sink, just swim. The master blaster boombox on 10. Throwing Hail Mary, some I ain't trying to pass it. It's still very on to the casket drops. I accelerate to the pedal brakes. When we celebrate, I make you levitate. First in, last to leave.
So that leaves us with battery life before we wrap things up for today, and despite the faster CPU and brighter OLED panel, overall runtimes are excellent, even though they cannot really set themselves apart too much from the competition, but nevertheless, you can do a lot with the Zenbook on battery before you have to find an outlet, be it at work or while traveling. Alrighty good people, that should already be it for today and for the refreshed Zenbook S14. Overall, the formula still works quite well, and the combination of the excellent display, simply gorgeous chassis, great runtimes and decent performance nets you, once again, a great mainstream notebook, and if you do not care about GPU performance at all, you will be very happy with this one. But still, I feel like Asus, or rather Intel, left some potential on the table here, and I kinda would like to see something like the Zenbook with an SoC like what Intel put in the MSI Claw, for example. But unfortunately, a combination of a lower core count CPU with the higher end Panther Lake iGPU simply does not really exist. But please folks, let me know what you're thinking, sound off below. Don't forget to leave a like and sub on your way out, and maybe check out our review for the Zenbook A14 I mentioned earlier. Thanks for watching good people, my name is Alex, you have been simply amazing as always, and I can't wait to see you all in the next one. Take care.